Today, I am going to be starting to go into the method that I teach my clients, and I call it the work method. No, work does not stand for anything, even though I capitalize it. It's literally just the word work. WERK. So everything that I'm going to go over today starts in the guidebook where the workbook section is, and that's on page 17. I double checked just to make sure I had that page for y'all. So like I said, this series is for my creators, coaches, service providers, and the intention behind this is that with my business, everything that I do basically is so that the people that I know are amazing creators, amazing women doing amazing things, want to have impact, want to have influence, really want to be a part of bettering this world. A lot of times they're like the best kept secret, especially on Instagram. Hey girl. But yeah, so the intention behind this is to get everyone a little bit more in the forefront, even though if you're not going viral every day, which going viral, I was actually watching this thing the other day. I like to give you guys little side notes. And this girl, oh, I just knocked my earring out. This girl was saying going viral oftentimes hurts businesses because you end up attracting so many people who are there for the wrong reasons, or they're there for one thing that's really not even about your business. But that's neither here nor there. So today we're going to really be talking about how to get you guys, and by you guys, I mean my ideal people, in front of more people and actually serving your audience, getting your content seen, having people engage with it, and just really like being the big flourishing creative that you should be. So and again, this all came from questions from my email list. So my email list, I asked them, hey, I'm going to be doing another live series. What do you guys want me to talk about? And these were the things that they said. So they asked me, how do I start growing the right kind of audience, which we talked about a little bit on day one? How do I turn my followers into customers, which we'll talk about today? How do I grow authority when I'm just starting, which we will talk about today as well? Why is the algorithm a hater? We're going to talk about that today. And then why is the thought of Instagram giving me anxiety? And we're going to talk about that today too. So today I want to walk you guys through what is like my method of coming up with content, being in front of people, being your most authentic self, which we talked about authenticity last time, and just really serving your audience, which is basically what we are all in business to do. You're in business to solve a problem, to answer a question, to give someone something that either they can't make themselves, they can't get themselves, or they just are like, I want to support you, because sometimes that's the end all be all of it. So important things that I want to go over today, which I said we're going over the work method. We're not even going over the whole thing. I'm going to touch on the first three parts of it. So parts 4 and 5, we'll talk about that on day 3, but we're not going into all that today. We would be here for hours. So I want you to imagine some things with me. Let's play a little game of imagination, because that's what creativity is all about. So imagine if you actually had a content strategy and it's aligned with your business, and it's actually focused on creating high quality content, not gorgeous content, high quality. And there's a difference. We will talk about that, to actually attract your clients to you. So you're showing up, you're giving value, you're actually serving. And serving does not mean giving away the whole hog as soon as somebody comes to you. Because even though I'm doing this live series, there's so much under this. This is like, a lot of people say the tip of the iceberg. This is like the crust of the apple pie. Like there's so much juicy goodness, or peach cobbler. I like peach cobbler better, but it's like just looking at the top of it. And there's so much going on under it. You don't know what I put in that peach cobbler. And once you taste it, you're like, oh my gosh, did she put some bourbon in here? And yes, I did, because that's how I make mine. But that's neither. See, tangents. But anyway, so imagine these things. Imagine if you had a content strategy, like I just said. Imagine you had the confidence to show up and actually be yourself when you show up. So not showing up, and I'm going to talk about this and go into it, why this creates problems. Showing up and trying to have pretty content, trying to talk in a certain way, trying to present things in a certain way, it's just going to mess up your business. So imagine if you weren't doing that and you were just showing up, just being little old you. And Bianca does this very well. So everyone who's in here does this really well. So love you guys for that. But and also imagine if your audience shifted from just being your followers to actual engaging customers who actually want to support you and want what you have to sell. Wouldn't that be amazing? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I want you to really think about those things. Like, imagine what that would look like for you. Because going forward, I'm going to answer 3 key questions that I get all the effing time about content strategy and what you should be posting, I'm going to get into that in a second, but I really wanted to go talk about this because I was actually talking to my sis Famira earlier. She went live earlier. She had an interview with me earlier. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but anyway, I was talking to Famira earlier and we were talking about like my story in entrepreneurship. And I was like, I kind of talk about little bits here and there, but I never like say the whole thing from beginning to end. And I'm not even going to do that today. So, but I am going to talk about one little part of it because I think that this was kind of pivotal because this was when I was starting out, especially starting out business on Instagram, not really knowing what I should say, how I should post, how I should present myself. So when I started, hey, Natalie. So when I started with a company called the Red Queen Company. And if you want to, my Instagram page for that is still up. I have not touched it since I think like 2017, 2018. So a lot of the following has like dwindled down. But when I was Red Queen, it was popping. And the Red Queen is my favorite Disney character. That's why I named it after that. And it was a Disney-based business. So with the Red Queen Company, my focus, because what I thought I needed to do was build my following really quickly, build my email list, because that's what everyone was telling me. Then give a whole bunch of free content, like give all these downloads, have sales funnels set up, and then also have very low price offers. So with the Red Queen Company, I would create, I'm trying to wave to everyone as they come in. I would create, I'll keep saying Instagram strategies because that's what I do now. I would create itineraries for people who were going to Disneyland. Hey, Cora, I got your message. I'm about to vote for you right after this. But I would create Disneyland strategies for people who were going to the park, trying to get around as quickly as they could. Because I had an annual pass. I used to work there. I used to know how to get around Disneyland like that. So especially with families who are spending so much money, I was like, I think I could really help people just by making like simple little guides about like how to get your fast passes, what order to get them in, what order to get on rides. And I had like different itineraries, like if you were going for a birthday, if you're going for a date night, if you are a foodie and you want to go there and try all the food, if you want to do like a bar hop, if you wanted to go during the summer, during Christmas, I had an itinerary for everything because that's how much I used to go to Disneyland like 2 times a week, and I would test out my itineraries. I'd be like, okay, I think this is how I would do this one. I would test it out, and if I could get it done in 5 hours, I knew a family could get it done in 8, because if you're with kids, you got to stop and do all that stuff. So say all that to say, built up Red Queen Company, and within the first 6 months, I think I had like 7,000 followers, six or 7,000. Was really focused on growing my following, trying to figure out what I should post, going to the park, like literally at the park for hours, taking pictures of everything. And I would take bomb pictures. And this is why I say like pretty content does not do anything. So if you like go look at that page after this, I'll actually put it in my story so it'll be easier for you guys to find. That page, everything was beautiful. Disneyland itself is very photogenic. So I'm just taking like all these pictures, having fun. Start the Red Queen Company. First time I tried to sell something, and I was making like connections with people on Instagram, but people just knew me as the person who's taking pictures of Disneyland. They didn't know like there was something else behind it. So I'm doing all this, and mind you, my itineraries were only $7. I put them on sale. I think the first time I put them on sale, I sold 3, and I was like, this is ridiculous. What? I made $21. I mean, I could have made nothing. I'm grateful for those 3 people, but also this is why I'm doing this today, to talk about content that actually does something for your business, that moves things forward, because you will be doing all the things that you see other people doing and see other people like selling and having success doing. But then you're like, why is this not working for me? So this is what we're going to talk about today. And we are going to get into the 3 things. So First, and I like to give you guys like little thought things. Think about, what do you want to create content for? That should be like the underlying focus, but we're going to go into like the three key questions that people are having when it comes to content. And I will say, by the end of this, I don't want anyone to ever say, I don't know what to post ever again. Like, there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason why anyone can ever say, I don't know what to post today. That's out the window. After today, that is done. I don't want none of y'all to say that. And you can pass this information along to your friends. If they're saying it, be like, hey, check out Alana. She said that we're not saying that anymore, and this is why. And just send them this video. So number one, people say, like I just said, I don't know what to post. And when people are thinking, I don't know what to post, they're thinking of it as, I don't know what my audience will like, or I don't know how I should look today. It's coming from like a very ego-focused space. And when you're thinking that way, there's a block around it, because you either end up not ever posting anything. Hey, Famira. You either end up not posting anything, and then when you do post, you're posting just for the sake of posting. Then your audience is confused about what you even do. They're like, I'm not really sure if is this like a lifestyle brand? Is she a blogger? Is she the Disneyland girl? Is she the Instagram girl? I don't know what's happening over here. Because if I was over here posting all my Disney pictures, y'all would be confused. Y'all would be like, what does this have to do with anything? I have no idea. But when you start doing that, your audience gets confused. You start to muddy up how it is that you even serve your audience. So when you get clear on how you actually serve people and get clear on how you're going to deliver your content, that's when it never becomes, I don't know what to post. It's when you're saying to yourself, I am amazing at ... fill in the blank of whatever, however you serve your people. And I'm going to serve my audience today. Not even how can I serve my audience today? Because a lot of people say, I should ask myself, how should I serve my audience today? No, like, I'm going to, and then create from that space of knowing. And all of these it's a lot of mindset that we're going to talk about today, but it is coming from a space of knowing that you know what you're talking about. You know what you do, and you wouldn't start a business if you weren't good at something. I would hope not. Yes. Clarity, people, clarity. I would hope you're not starting a business and you're just kind of so-so at something. You know about something. You know how to create a certain thing. You know the vibe that you're putting out. Even if you are like a product creator and it's not like you're creating something that's quote unquote transformational to someone, it is transformational. Like, I'm thinking about Natalie, her beautiful products, all of them are so gorgeous. If y'all don't know Knits by Nat, go over to her page. Amazing. Like, everything's like African inspired, like authentic fabrics, like amazing. But with that, she's bringing a vibe. She's bringing a certain aesthetic. She's bringing a vision. She's bringing a perspective of accessories to the market. And it's amazing. With Bianca, who's here, I don't know if she's still here, but with Saint Germain, with her candles, she's bringing a mood into your home. She's setting intentions all around your home. You can have different scents, different intentions, different vibes for each room if you want to. She's creating an experience with what it is that she's selling. So even if it's not like coaching services or something like internally transformational, you are adding value to people's lives. So think about how that looks for your people and how you can show up in that vibe today. So when you're thinking about it, and this goes off of day one when we were talking about like really connecting with your audience on a value level, even if because I wouldn't want you, especially with product-based businesses, to just post pictures of your products all the time. Like, what is that vibe? What is it that I'm connecting with my audience on? What does my product stand for? What does my service stand for? What do I stand for? How can I put that, and we're going to talk about this, putting it on a pedestal. What is that from? Put that on a pedestal. I don't know, but that's one of my pillars. I named it after that, and I still don't know what it's from. But think about that. Say that to yourself, like, I am the shit at ... and I am going to serve my audience today. And then from that, if you still have an inkling of, I don't know what I want to post, because you're like, how can I serve my audience? Like, what do they want from me? Then just go ask them. Literally, this whole live series came from me asking my audience. And if you don't have an audience to ask, find audiences. Because sometimes people are like, well, Alana, I don't have a following. Well, I don't have this and that. There are audiences everywhere. There are forums. Reddit. Have y'all ever heard of Reddit? It's a whole website that does billions of dollars. Serena is married to the Reddit dude. Go over to Reddit, find a forum, find people asking questions about your thing, because that's what people want to know. People want to know those things. So for instance, I like giving examples of people who are in here. So for instance, Mika is here. She does like a whole bunch of nutritional stuff, but she was thinking about doing like supplements for a while. And we were talking about content, like what should she post? What should she do? And I was like, why don't you just explain what these things are? Because I have no idea what any of these herbs do or like anything like that. And she was like, that's a good idea. I'm like, yeah. Like, you don't have to be selling to your audience to be selling to them, just informing them. And I'm going to talk about this in a second, like building the world around what it is that you're doing. And I don't want to jump on this because I'm going to talk about, we'll put a pin in that. I'm going to come back to that, but build the world around what it is that you're doing, so your audience understands why you're doing it. And that's when you really go into the why, like, why is this a thing? Why am I doing this? Why am I serving these people? That's when you're going into that why. And then that really dictates how you show up and serve your audience. So we're no longer saying, I don't know what to post. If you don't know what to post, tell yourself you're serving your audience today. And if you still don't know, go out and go find those questions and give people answers. And I don't want you to have like all this how-to content all the time, because that's going to get really boring. But if you are answering questions from different angles, so say for instance, I was talking about social selling, talking about content, and I was like, okay, we're going to talk about content creation. I can come at it from a form of how to sell on Instagram, how to embody the person that sells on Instagram, like who do I have to be able to do this? There are so many different ways that I can go about it and still give you the same answers that you're looking for, but in so many variables of ways, which is another reason why you should never say, I don't know what to post. You can literally take one thing, one idea, and turn it into 1,000. But that is also why a lot of people hire me, because I'm very good at that and I do it really quickly. So we are going to say that. So now we're going to move on to point number 2. I don't know how to convert my followers into buyers. So when you're thinking about this, and you're thinking about how to move them along that, we call it like the client journey, how to like really get them there, you need to really, actually, hold up. I want to back up for a second because I feel like I want to clarify something. I was just looking at my notes. I forgot to say something. So when you're engaging your audience and you're making content, you do want to be sure, because I forgot to go over engagement, and that's extremely important, because you could be creating all the content in the world. If it's not getting engagement, we got to figure out why. So when you're engaging with them, you're getting clarity around what it is that you should be offering, what you should be presenting, how you should be serving your audience. Sometimes, like I said, you don't know what questions your audience asks until you actively go look for the questions that they're asking. If they're not asking you directly, if they're not in your DMs, if they're not on your email list. My cat is doing something bad and she knows I'm busy. And I'm like, I would go snatch you up right now. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So when you're engaging, you, like Famira was saying, you need to get clear. But I was talking to a client, and this is why it just popped up. I was talking to him and I'm explaining something in my terms, and I'm in the sphere of my world of what I was talking to you guys about creating with your audience. And I'm talking about call to actions. And then something made me pause because he got kind of quiet when I was talking about that. And yes, I do work with guys sometimes. I know I talk about girls over here, but that's on the production side. So this guy is a guy. So I was saying call to action, and then I was like, do you know, I had to pause. I was like, do you know what call to action means? He was like, no, but I was figuring you were going to explain it. So I was getting a little confused. So when he was saying that, I was like, okay, this is what a call to action is. But then I have to go further than that, because I can't just say call to action is when you tell somebody to do something. I have to tell him why that's important, and then why that's important for him, and then why that's important for Instagram, and then why that's important for his content. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying like build a world around something. And I'll just go into this now since I'm talking about it again. But these are things that you can create now just from the things that you know about. So with him, he's in music. And when I was talking to my cousin, I was talking to him about his strategy, what he should talk to his audience about. And he's a sound engineer. I was like, you can easily talk about engineering engineering and like what it takes to mix a song, like funny things that your clients have asked you to do, funny things that you actually add without your clients even knowing that you're adding it, because he's a funny person, so I'm coming at it from comedy perspective. But when you're thinking about that, there are so many things that you take for granted that you know that your audience is like, I wouldn't have even thought about that. So when I'm thinking of it, I'm thinking like building the world. Like if you're writing a movie or a TV script, people need to know what the characters play, like what setting is this, like where are we, what time period. So of course my first thing is I go to Harry Potter because I have a Harry Potter tattoo. So in Harry Potter, when you get into it, you understand that this is a world where there are wizards and there are muggles. Like, first of all, I need to know what a muggle is. I need to know the rules of Quidditch, because otherwise I'd be reading these pages and people are just flying around hitting each other. I need to know the rules. I need to know what spells are. How are these wands working? What does Wingardium Leviosa mean? Like, what does each spell mean? When are they using it? When is it okay to use it? What are the laws of this world? Are there laws? So when you're going into it, think of Harry Potter, if that helps you out. Build your world and tell people what the things matter in your world and why they're even important. So, all right, now we can move on to point number 2. So this is when people are like, I don't know how to convert my followers into buyers. And this is especially, I wanted to put this one in the middle because this is especially for my people who I call the best kept secrets. This is when you're creating amazing things, you are actually serving, but then there's a disconnect. So when this is happening, you might think that you need to create, and you guys know where I'm gonna go, the reels where you're pointing at the air. You need to do all the things that the girls in the streets are doing. You need to show up like them. But that's when you attract people who don't want to work with you, because you are presenting yourself like everyone else is, and there's no differentiation. No one knows why you're special. No one knows why you're different. If you are, and this is why sometimes with strategy, this is why I really want to get into it with creatives, especially because we're so creative. We have so many dope ideas, but sometimes as a creative, because you don't have the experience with strategy. Yes, Team Hufflepuff, I'm a Slytherin, but we're okay. But when you're going into it and you don't know about strategy and you're just thinking content, as creatives, we often do take in our environment and remix it from our own perspective. But that doesn't mean you're not going to be pointing at the air. If you're not looking at things from my bird's eye view of like what is working here, what is not, what is actually destroying us from the inside out, you wouldn't even see that as a problem. You would see that as, oh, this is how I should show up. But then when you show up that way, that's when your content looks like everyone else's. You attract people who don't want to work with you because you're copying someone and they actually want to work with that person. Then when they do work with you, you're like, I can't stand this person. This person is stressing me out. Then people start blaming Instagram, saying Instagram's stressing them out, that Instagram's getting exhausting, it's giving them anxiety. And poor Instagram is like, girl, I'm just here to have some fun with you. Like, show up and let's like get to it. I have so many features you can use, so many things that you can. Oh, that's cute. I like reading you guys' comments, especially when they're Harry Potter related. But think about it as you're attracting the wrong people because you're not showing up as you. If you were showing up as you, your people would come to you. And it would be a whole lot easier because you're not having to ingest so much information about what's trending, what's going on, what's this, what's that. And if you just show up as you and serve your audience, like we already talked about, then you start getting people who actually want to work with you, who you actually love working with, who you actually love seeing your products and services show up in their stories because they're having such an amazing time and you're having an amazing time and everyone's happy. So I can't say this enough. And I know I say this a lot in all of my content, but people buy from people. Honestly, and this is one reason why there are only 2 people I buy candles from. Even if I go to an event and there are 10 different candle sellers, because this happened recently, I'm walking around, I'm looking, I'm like, oh, this smells so good, da 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 da. And I'm like, but I only buy from my 2 candle girls. Like, I am loyal to a point. And this is also like, for instance, when you go to Target, when you walk down the shampoo aisle, there are tons of things on the shampoo wall. But your eye is looking for that one thing that you know you came in the store for, that you know that you like. Unless you're looking for some new product, some new brand, you go down that aisle, you know the color of it, you know the shape of it, you know what it looks like. And as soon as you see it, boom, that's going in the cart. You're not coming on Instagram looking for everyone. You're looking for the girls who are the girls, the girls who get it, the girls who understand you, the girls who talk like you, the girls who look like you, the girls who are presenting something that matters to you. So think of it that way. Think of Instagram as the target aisle. How are you showing up? What bottle are you? What color are you? And I know sometimes people talk about this like, what's it called? The blue ocean, that strategy. I'm like, just think of Target. Everybody knows what Target is. Not everyone has been to the ocean, which being a Los Angeles girl always shocks me. But not everyone knows the ocean. Everyone knows Target. At least everyone in my Target audience knows a Target audience. Oh, that's cute. I like that. Anyway, I say all that to say, this is part of the embodiment piece of the work method, because if you're not showing up as you in your content, that's mainly why it's not converting, because you're doing something that you either saw somebody else do that works for them for a certain reason, and you're trying to bring it over to you, but that's not putting the you in your content. So with this, I want to talk about the actual work method itself, so the guidebook, and I'm just going to briefly go over this because the guidebook pretty much lays everything out, but this is a part of the embodiment piece, and there's different parts of it in different pillars. Each pillar stands for something else, but pillar 2, and this is out of order because this is just how it goes, but pillar 2 is really when it's about envisioning your goal. So what is the goal? What is the vision? What is the mission? And this takes me like some time to work with people through, because visions, missions, they're all different because it has to align with purpose. It has to be in alignment. We got to figure out if it's actually yours. There's a whole process to it, but I do go over it briefly in the guidebook. But when you're envisioning your goal, you have to think all of your content needs to be tied to a goal. So when I'm talking about these pillars, they're in terms of content. When we're in the accelerator, it's in terms of you. But when we're talking about pillar 2 in the work method, it's all about envisioning your goal and what is the goal that you have for yourself. Hello. And all content is tied to a goal. So if you're posting just to post, that content is out of alignment because it's not in line with your business goals. It might not even be in line with you. You're just doing it just because it seems like a cool thing to do. Then going to pillar 1, that's when we talk about unlocking your creative genius, because I am a firm believer. I won't even say I'm a believer. I'm a knower that everyone was here to fill some sort of deficit in the void of the world. So you are special in that you have something within you, whether you've realized it yet or not. And sometimes it's something that you do so naturally, which is why I love that in human design, I'm a projector. I can see exactly what it is as soon as I start interacting with you, and you're like, I mean, that's not that special. I'm like, no, that's actually really dope. Like, we're gonna play on that. And I don't know why you don't think it's special. I'm not sure what block you have around it, but that was dope, even if it's something very small. But once you expand on that, that's when you're really going deep into unleashing your creative genius, because there is something that you have a genius around, and that's when you build confidence around it and you realize, hey, I kind of have a lot of stuff to get this thing started. I'm kind of worth it. I'm worth my price. Maybe I should start selling things. So that's when you're really stepping into it and converting your followers to buyers, because you are unleashing that genius. You're showing people, I have worth. I am amazing. I am the shit. Like Famira would say, I am brilliant. And you're showing that unapologetically to the world. So then we go into pillar 3. So it goes 2, 1, 3. Oh, which is very LA based. But anyway, pillar number 3, this is the one I call put that purpose on a pedestal. And this is when you are securing yourself at this point. You are the bag. You have this and you are qualified. And this is when you go out and you are expressing your authority. Like you are not taking no for an answer. You are out here like, this is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. This is why you should pay me for it, because amazingness. And then when you're presenting as yourself and you're unapologetic about that part, you're creating content that's in alignment with that. That's when everything just like comes together and people are like, wow, yeah, she kind of does what this other girl does, but she does it in a different way. She is doing something different over here, and I love it. I love her for that. Let me follow her. Let me engage with her content. Let me try to be her bestie on Instagram. I just made a new bestie on Instagram over the weekend. But anyway, when you're doing that, it's because you're showing up authentically, and people feel that from you. They're not like, she's doing this, she's doing this because everyone else is doing it. It's like, oh no, she actually means something behind it. She got some fire behind this thing. So that's when you're securing yourself. You're being yourself unapologetically. Someone just sent us money. And you're realizing that you have so much already to get this started. It's not that you need pretty content. You don't need a social media designer. You don't need more followers. You already have what it takes to get this thing started. You just need the strategy behind it, and you need a coach that makes you see it. And that's why the accelerator is about to open. But that's neither here nor there. There are thousands of options out there. Just know, in the Target aisle, there's someone looking for your bottle. There's someone looking for that color. There's someone looking for your scent. And you got to display yourself proudly on that shelf. Don't be that bottle that's scooted all the way to the back. And people are like, dang, I was looking for a certain one today. I don't see it here. And then they're just like, all right, I'll go to another Target. Or they just forget about it altogether. Display yourself prominently. So think of it that way. I was really trying to think of how I could describe that, and that was the first thing that came to mind. I hope it works for you guys. But last things last, and this is about consistency, because none of this works without consistency. If you are posting fire content only once every blue moon, I will say there are pages that I've seen recently especially when I'm going into a launch, I oftentimes go and try to find other accounts to follow, engage with, because not only does it help my engagement, but I like to put out that vibe before I do any of this. So I'll find accounts and they're amazing. They're bomb, but they haven't posted since like last July. They might have something in their story, or like they're still using their stories for some reason, but they're not posting. I'm like, well, if you're not posting, you might not be engaging. And if you're not engaging, then you're not going to be my friend. So this kind of sucks. So this is where consistency comes in, because that's the feeling that you give your audience. They're like, this sucks. Like, I really want to like be in this with you. I want to have you as a part of like my digital community. But if you're not showing up and you're not actively engaging with people, you're not being like one of the girls on the playground with us, then it's kind of like, it's sad. And I will say with consistency, it's not about posting every day. It's not that you need to create content all day, every day. There isn't like a magical piece of content that's gonna like change the game for you. With some people it does, but that's like, those are the people you see on the news. Like, what was that guy, the chocolate rain guy? Like, where has he been? He made chocolate rain and no one knows. But then this also shows up with consistency getting too much in your head. So you're kind of like, I don't know what to post, going back to that. You're like, the algorithm hates me anyway, so why should I even try? Some of you have everything stored in your drafts, and having drafts is fine. I have drafts, but I do post things out of them. My draft is my backlog of like, I can chill out today because I already have 20 pieces of content I can roll out. But that's when you're in your head. And this is when I'm talking about having your drafts. I'm about to get into this and why that's important. So when you're not doing this, that's when you do start posting just to post. You start confusing people. They have no idea what you do. And then you finally decide to launch one day out of the blue and no one buys. And then you wonder why. And you're like, this sucks. Like, everything just sucks. But that's why consistency is so key. And I really want to put that in your brains. Like, consistency is the key to building your authority, building your know, like, and trust factor, actively showing up for the relationship that you're building with your audience so they can build a relationship with your brand and business. Because some people do that. Like, I know grown adults who have full relationships where they never live together, and that is fine with them. By all means, you're an adult, go do that. But if you're building a brand and a business on Instagram, especially something that moves so quickly and is so easy to completely forget about someone, you got to show up consistently. So this is what I call creative mapping. And I don't go over this in the guidebook. This is something that we go through. We touch on it in my intensives, but we definitely go through it in detail in the accelerator. So creative mapping is another 3-step process. 3 is my favorite number. I was born in the 3rd month, and my birth date is actually a multiple of 3. And I just love odd numbers because all my birthday, 3, 15, 87, odd numbers. So Anywho, creative mapping. So 3-part process. Number 1 is dedication. And you can't do any of this business stuff without some form of dedication, because even when it gets hard, even when it sucks, even when you spend all this time building 6,000 followers, only make 3 sales on a $7 product and only have a profit of $21 after working on this for 6 months, to my own story, that's when the dedication comes in. Because it's like, do I want to do this again? That really sucked. Do I have it in me? So you really need to decide and make a habit of deciding every single day that this is something you're dedicated to. This is a ripple effect that you want to have in the world. This is an impact that you want to create in this lifetime. Because I would hate for you to get to the end of your life and be like, I should have started that back when I was about to turn 35. My birthday's next week. So I should have started that then. Dang it. And then what? You can't get the time back. So first, the dedication. You need to promise yourself you're going to do this, but when you're promising that you're going to do it, I want you to understand that you have to honor your energy around that dedication. So sometimes I'll tell myself I'm going to do something. It comes up and I'm like, nope, that was not, I don't know why we dedicated that to ourselves, because what was that? So that's why I do these live series differently now, because I used to do them 3 days in a row. Now I do them Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. So I have breaks in between, because by that day 3, when I would do it 3 days in a row, I was like, hey y'all, this is what we're going to talk about today. And I'd just be done. But now that I've gone through that experience, I understand that about myself. I can dedicate this time and this experience to you guys of how I want to serve in a lot more intentional way. So the number 1 thing is dedication. Number 2 is the actual mapping part. So this is when you think about, okay, knowing what I'm dedicated to, knowing the goal, knowing the energy that I need to put behind it. How often do I want to do this thing? How often do I want to serve my audience? How often do I want to show up? And you want to show up the way that fits with your energy the best. And you have to think about how, I took a nap right before this, Famir. When I was watching your live, I was taking a nap. I was looking over, I was like, oh, Famir said, can they hear? Okay, I can still hear, but I'm going back to sleep. But I was still there. But with this, I will say, how often do you want to show up? What is the energy that would be required for that? And then, like, what is the context of the content that you're showing up in? Is it a live series? Is it going to be posts? Is it going to be carousels? Is it going to be reels? Is it going to be TikTok? Is it going to be Twitter? Is it going to be Facebook? There are so many different outlets. And like, at this point, if you can't find an outlet that works for you, I kind of don't know what to tell you. There are too many different ways to get it done at this day and age. And if you're like that hard pressed, you might have, maybe the outlet is something that you were called to create. Maybe that's your space in the world, but there is no way that you can't get it out. And then this is the most important thing. This is the thing that I like harp on in the accelerator so much. It's all about the follow through, because the mindset could be there, the intentions can be there, the content can be created, but if there's no follow through and actual following the steps to see what works and what doesn't, then what was it all for anyway? Don't know. Then sometimes the follow through is the hardest part, because that's when you actually have to show up. That's when you have to actually take that dedication and be like, okay, this is when I'm going to create. This is what I'm creating this day, and this is what I'm getting done. And I will say, it doesn't have to be this stringent. So for me, when I'm creating my reels, especially, I know that I go to the studio, our music studio, like once a week, and I have an office space in the studio. So I have like my own little dedicated space. It's actually my own little room, and the studio side is on one side. I have my room on the other side. I'll go over there for like a cool, I was telling Famira earlier, I can knock out like 7 reels in 30 minutes. I'll go over there, set my phone up. I have another ring light over there, set it up. I'll go through my reels and I'll like poop, 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 knock it out, save everything in a draft and be like, cool, we got reels for the week. And then because I know that I have that content already there, it takes so much stress off of me throughout the week, throughout the month, being like, like, even if, because I will say, as much as I talk shit about not knowing what to post, that still comes up for me, because I'm like, but it's more so from the point of, how am I serving my audience today? What am I going to post that serves them the best today? So it is a kind of a difference. But because I have that there, I have like that storage of all of this content that I can go to, it's so much easier. And this is when the planning actually comes from it, because you're going to set aside time to create. It doesn't have to be weekly. It could be monthly. It could be bi-weekly. It could be like a little bit here and there every day, whatever is comfortable for your energy. And then you don't have to post all day, every day. You don't need to be on Instagram all day, every day. People don't want to hear from you that much. And then you create a game plan. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about on day 3 of this live series, because I've been talking for a minute. I had a lot to say today. That's why I was late, because I needed my computer, because I was like, ain't no way I'm going to remember all them notes. And as y'all saw, I was already skipping over things. But on day 3, we're going to talk about the actual game plan of how you put this together. So like I said, I kind of went over bits and pieces of the work method. I'm going to go over like the full step-by-step process on day 3, how this content strategy comes into it, how we're avoiding all those mistakes that I talked about on day 1. And yeah, we just going to get into the thing. So I will say, for day 3, still get the guidebook if you haven't already, because there are action steps. So along with this, like, and this is what I was talking about, the most important thing is the follow through. Along with this, I don't want you guys just to listen and like absorb and just kind of like be a bystander of content that's being created. I want you to actually take action on it. So download the workbook, actually do something in there, because I didn't create the workbook just for the sake of creating a workbook. I had a lot of animosity against that workbook. It took me a minute, but I was like, this is going to create value for someone. This is actually going to make a difference for someone. So there are action steps in there. There are things that you can do today. There are things you could do tomorrow, over the weekend. I don't care when you get it done. Just make a dedication to yourself to get it done, map it out, and follow through. So just like we talked about today. So any questions, by all means, hit me up in my DMs. Day 3 will be this Thursday, same time, 5:30 Pacific time, so LA time. Download the workbook, and that's all for now. I will see you guys then. Thank you for being here, guys. All right, I'll see you guys later.